any questions, I'm happy to.
Okay, so thanks a lot for this latest recording. Because I've been itching to see the live show. I mean, to see, not only to listen to, for a long time. And
it's a lot. It's a lot of fun performing. But we're really lucky. It was a good night. We didn't fix anything. It's just the beginning of the set to the end of the show. Warts and all. Pavlov dog is a really good live band, so I guess it wasn't that big of a risk, but you never know.
But according to Wikipedia, you've been filming a few of your shows. Why did you decide to release this one and not to release previous ones?
Well, I don't remember filming any other shows other than this. Occasionally, people would bootleg us and stuff, but in terms of we actually setting up a photo shoot to record a concert, we've never done that ever.
Yes, and it's a Pavlov's dog shows, and you kind of had a solo career going with a Teacup album, and now you kind of reclaim the name. So either a line between David Surkamp and Pavlov's dog?
Well, I don't know that there's a huge line. It's just Pavlov's dog has always been about, my songs, basically, and so, I mean, I guess the biggest difference between the Teacup album and the Pavlov's dog record is the Teacup didn't have the violins and basically the violins and the heavy guitars, really. Whereas Pavlov's dog is, the violin is a prominent part of Pavlov's dog sound, and the electric guitars are always up front and center. So I guess that would be the big difference in terms of composition. I write songs all the time. I always have. So where they end up, it's not something I think about out front. We in the new DVD Housebroken, we perform a song called "Crying Forever," which my wife Sarah sings on stage, and it was actually recorded by Kim Simmons' band, Savoy Brown, first.
I know.
And so I never really planned to do that myself, but it seems to have a life on its own. So I sort of let it be what it is. And actually, Pavlov's dog loves playing that song. It could stay in the set for a while now. Everybody seems to enjoy playing it. I know Sarah loves singing it, and Amanda, our guitar player, and Abby, our violin player, they get a lot of room to spread their wings on and stuff. It'll probably going to stick around a while, but I mean, when I'm writing a song, I'm not really thinking about. I guess I'm not even thinking about whether it's any good or not. It's usually just something I'm doing, and when it's finished, if it has a place, that's great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I've written hundreds of songs that people have never heard. I can't put them all out there, I guess.
And talking about compositions, I always found it a bit of strange that people usually focus on your voice, but they don't really notice that it was really songwriting that defined the identity of the band.
Well, I always thought so. I mean, it started when I was in high school, where Stockton and I had a band called Time on Small Hill, which kind of turned into Pavlov's dog. But I mean, I'd written an episode off of him from Menial, by the time I was 18. So it was always, for me at least, focused on songwriting. I mean, I never thought I was going to be Johnny McLaughlin leading the Mahavishnu Orchestra or anything. I was coming from sort of a different space. While I really enjoy virtuosity and stuff, for me it always has to, the instruments really always have to take a back seat to a song. If you have a good song, it should be able to stand up on its own. Whether it's sing it a cappella, or you have, in our case, 7 or 8 piece band. So yeah, I mean, really the heart of Pavlov's Dog is my song, for sure.
And the instrumentation. You had this twin guitar thing going in the band, and you still have it now. So was it an influence of, say, Wishbone Ash?
No, though I've known Andy Paul since I was in my early 20s. Part of what it is I generally write songs either on acoustic guitar or piano. And growing up, when I was listening to records, whether it was Stones or the Beatles or even Buck Owens and like country western songs that I liked when I was a little kid in the 1950s, there was always an acoustic guitar back there, really pushing the track. I just hear that acoustic guitar as the backbone of every song, every recording. And I generally do it on the when we're recording the record. But Sarah's up there doing it on stage, and honestly, we'd be missing a big part of it if we didn't have that acoustic guitar chugging along. And consequently, with Sarah holding down the acoustic rhythm guitar part, that gives Amanda and I the availability to get all the other parts that might have been overdubbed before. We don't do a ton of harmony parts. I mean, there's ours from like late November and a couple other things, but I think I love Wishbone Ash. I mean, still do. But growing up around here in St. Louis, the Allman Brothers played here all the time before they became the Allman Brothers. They were called the Hourglass. And Dwayne Allman was already working on that twin guitar thing, I think, in the back of his head. And I'm pretty sure he was influenced by the original Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green and Danny Kerwin doing a lot of those twin guitar things.
You forget about Jeremy Spencer.
The who?
Jeremy Spencer, the third guitarist.
That's right, Jeremy Spencer, right.
They had 3 guitars going there.
They absolutely did. He played the slide mostly, I believe.
Not only, but mostly, yeah, right. Elmore James stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He did all the Elmore James songs. But, yeah, I mean, I was a big Danny Kerwin fan, I guess I still am, I love Fair Trees, I love Kiln House.
But I don't hear any southern rock influence in your music, and I would say Pavlov's Dog is one of those bands where, and it's a rare occasion, where I cannot pinpoint even your influences except maybe for rock and roll or Natchez Trace. So
right, and it's because I really came from an acoustic, music background. I was playing, ukulele and mandolin by the time I was 4 or 5, maybe even younger. There's pictures of me dragging a ukulele around when I'm younger than 4, that's for sure. So, I mean, I was playing piano by the time I was 5 or 6, so I wasn't really coming necessarily from a hard rock background, I mean, I listen to, you know, English folk songs, child ballads, you know, Pete Seeger, Lead Belly, Woody Guthrie. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, I think everybody on my mother's side of the family were communists or something, so there was all that protest movement, music in my background as a little kid, you know. There was always a guitar around.
Well, was there a classical music influence?
Not tons. My grandmother had a beautiful singing voice and went to theater school at university, and she was a huge fan of Shakespeare, and she would play Chopin for me, some Beethoven, Mozart, obviously. I guess I listened to Bach a lot, just trying to figure out how music worked. But that had more to do with, you know, having piano lessons by force than anything. You know?
So where did all this sophistication come from? Because your compositions, early compositions, I would say, beg for orchestra.
Well, I guess when I was in high school, I got that first King Crimson record. I was coming home from school, and there was this drugstore, like a pharmacy, that carried albums and 45s. And they were actually cheaper there than if I'd gone to a record store for some reason. And I saw that very first King Crimson cover for the Crimson King, and I bought it just from the cover alone. I had no idea what it sounded like. I had no clue what I was doing. I just had a few dollars in my pocket and bought it, and that kind of opened my mind a lot to maybe pushing myself a lot harder on sophistication. That said, you know, some of those songs in that first King Crimson records, I mean, they sound like acoustic guitar songs. I Talk the Wind, Moonchild, I mean, they're basically folk songs with heavy orchestration.
Yeah, they came from Ian MacDonald mostly on the first album, not from Fripp.
Definitely. It was all Ian MacDonald as far as I can tell. And I loved that first MacDonald and Giles album, too. In fact, I was playing it a couple of months ago. I was surprised how good it was. I haven't heard it in, probably a decade. And, a friend of mine found a copy of it on CD and gave it to me, and I was like, wow, this really is good. You know? Ian MacDonald was genius.
Have you heard his solo record from the
only thing I ever heard of that he did was he was in a band called Foreigner, which I wasn't really.
No, it was in the 90s. It was in the 90s. He had an album out called Driver's Eyes, half instrumental, and half of the songs are sung by his friends like John Wetton and Lou Graham.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I might have to look that up this afternoon and see if I can order it.
If you could give me your email, I'll send you the link to the information.
Oh, super! I'll have to. I don't have one, so I'll give you my wife one.
Yeah, that would be wonderful because
she has that stuff. I'm kind of a primitive. I still, you know, I'm really more interested in, you know, playing my guitars and mandolins than I am playing with a computer.
Because I would want to send you the transcript for checking something anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So please give me.
Sure, I'll put you and Sarah on the phone together.
Okay, so continuing from where we stopped.
Of course.
So Pavlov's Dog left a short but impressive body of work to live up to. So did you find it, or do you find it difficult to live up to those two records?
No, I just gotta continue doing what I wanted to do. I was really unhappy in Pavlov's Dog. By the time the second record was over, I mean, I was finished. It just took me a while to extricate myself from the recording contract, but I mean, by the time the third record came around, I mean, everybody in the band thought they were a songwriter. Of course, none of them could write songs to save their lives. It was just getting ugly.
You mean creatively, or on personal level, or on business level?
Both. I mean, I wasn't getting along with anybody. It was horrible. It was just horrible. And I wanted out. I finally had to. I guess they did a demo without me, and they presented it to Columbia Records, and there wasn't a single song on it of worth of merit. And so our manager basically rented me a hotel room, and one of the guys who was in the road crew was a friend of mine from high school, and I just kind of locked myself in this room with the piano, guitars, tape recorder, mandolins, and I knocked out what eventually became, has anyone here seen Siegfried? And we tried to record that as a band, but halfway through that, it was getting so awful. Douglas Rayburn and I just took the master tapes and went to New York and finished it up with guys like Elliot Randall and Jeff Baxter, those type of sessions with people that I knew up in New York. And so that way I was able to leave the band and move on for a while. Which is what I did. I hooked up with my friend Ian Matthews, and we had a little rock band called Hi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about that a little later. But as of now, with the titles like Episode and Subway Sue, I know that it was like misheard lyrics. But
Siegfried couldn't understand what I was singing.
Yeah, but putting it on the record sleeve, was it like a conscious attempt to create your own mythology?
No, it's just the way I my art, the way I think. I don't do very much stuff premeditated. I tend to be kind of like an antenna. I guess there's songs out there, and I just kind of grab them out of space and time. So I tend to write the words and the melody at the same time. I generally, like the song Echo and Boo. I was driving in my pickup truck down the road, and the piano motif came into my head. And so I just pulled over and I sat under a tree and I wrote it out from the first line to the end of the last line of the song. And went on with the piano, and it was just there.
Both parts, the slow one and the meat-paced one?
I'm sorry?
I mean, the song consists of two parts, the slow part and the meat-paced one. So you composed it in one sitting?
Yeah, one sitting. It took about a half hour from beginning to end. And I didn't have an instrument. I can hear what the notes are. I can pretty much play them if I can hear them. But yeah, it just came. And Julia was the same way. I wrote Julia 15, 20, 30 minutes. I don't know. I just flat them out. It's not something I suffered over or anything.
But your first album, it's so like a double release. And what was interesting about that for me, why there was no legal action between two companies?
Because we were signed to ABC Records first, and then the president of the label who signed us, Jay Lasker, got fired. We realized if the guy who signed us wasn't there, they were not going to work the album.
Yeah, but you still had contract with the company, and not with him personally, right?
Right, but we could tell that it was a really bad situation if we stayed at ABC. So Columbia Records had wanted us badly to begin with. ABC just basically outbid them to begin with. So Columbia bought the contract from ABC, and all of a sudden it was on two labels, on two different positions on the Billboard chart at the same time.
So they bought it out?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it was settled legally.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only problem was, it was competing against itself, right? So instead of, say it was 100,000 albums, I don't know how many sold, but say you had 100. Say on one chart position, say ABC, it might be number 25, right? Yeah. And on CBS, it might be number 20. But the sales were combined, so it always was strange, you know.
But you got your royalties anyway.
Yeah. I've got a platinum record down in the living room. I don't put too much of that stuff up. It's kind of like bowling trophies. I have that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And you collaborated with Sandy Pearlman on that.
Oh yeah. He's my friend. He just died a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but how do you remember him?
Fondly, he was a really good friend. He was a really smart guy, really intelligent. And he would push me. It's weird. He knew how to guide me. Almost sometimes without me knowing it. You know, he just he understood what my approach was and what I was trying to do. And if I was having a blank spot and I was having trouble pushing through, he would find a way to suggest something to me to maybe remove that block and finish it. I remember when She Came Shining, there's that outro about Chinatown You Ain't Never Seen So Bad. And I was basically looking for a phrase. That line wasn't there yet, even though we recorded the basic track of the song. And I had some friends in a New York band called The Dictators, and we would go to Chinatown and eat this really crappy food and get sick half the time. And I was always complaining about Chinatown, so Sandy said something to the effect of Chinatown and Ain't Never Seen So Bad. I said, yeah, I'll use that line, So I kind of reversed my own vocabulary on me to get things done. But he was a really talented guy. He really was. I mean, some of his lyrics for Blue Oyster Cult records are just phenomenal. And of course, his production work was wonderful as well.
And what about the song that you seem to be writing between the first and the second albums, which these titles, I Wish It Would Rain, A Little Better, Look in Your Eyes. So they didn't end up on the second album.
Right. Yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't end up on the second album.
but you played it live, right?
Once again, I've written a lot more songs than actually got recorded, that song, Shaking Me Down on Housebroken, during the encore, I've never played that song before or since that night. In fact, none of the guys in the band had ever heard the song before we did it that night in Nuremberg. It's I write them, and if the occasion presents itself, I'll play something, whether anybody's heard it or not. All those songs and Shaking Me Down and some other things, I don't know. If I hadn't done Shaking Me Down that night, I wouldn't be talking about it now. I probably would have forgotten about it. To be truthful.
But you opted for a softer sound on the second album. Was it a producer decision, or you wanted to move into that area?
I think it was kind of the direction I was trying to head all along. I never saw us as a heavy metal band or anything. I really like it to be sophisticated. I really care that there's something melodic there. And I do like, throwing in weird time signatures and stuff. It's probably a weakness of mine. Yeah, I think it's a lot more interesting than just pounding out one or two chords, like a blues band or something. I couldn't suffer that very long. But there's some heavy moments on Sound of the Bell. But I didn't really want to do any of the Neanderthal things that we are all capable of doing. If you have an electric guitar turned up really loud, there are some natural results that come out of it. One of them might be the riff to song dance, right? I mean,
what was the meaning
over and over again.
What was the meaning of the cover of this record?
The Sound of the Bell?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's easy. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It was all. It's the Sound of the Bell, which was the Pavlov dog scientific project. But when I think of the Sound of the Bell, I guess I'm back to Victor Hugo, right? I was a big reader when I was a kid.
Yeah, now I see it.
It was a fun, probably a bad fun, but
I realized the Hunchback.
So I did a lot of reading when I was growing up. I had asthma, and I didn't get out a lot, so I read a lot. I guess some of that stuff just stuck with me.
Yeah, I know that you even worked as a journalist for years.
For a decade. Yeah, I got sick of playing music, and for about 10 years I worked for writing music reviews, doing interviews, just writing basically.
Yes. So given your literary education, could you explain the meaning of misspelling Valkyrie for me?
No, I really don't know how that happened. I don't really know how that happened. Probably just a clerical, I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how it happened. Probably somebody couldn't read my writing. A lot of times Siegfried Carver would write down the stuff I was writing. And that could have happened. Siegfried was just brilliant. He was, triple genius guy. And sometimes he would force me to be organized where I wouldn't ordinarily have been. I mean, in fact, that's literally how Subway Sue happened. I mean, he just literally couldn't understand what I was saying, and he wrote down Subway Sue and stuff. So Valkyrie could be one of those two.
And on the bell, you had Bill Bruford play.
Yes.
Was it easy to get a British drummer, a famous drummer, to play on your records?
Not really. We were having a really bad. I mean, the band was falling apart at that point. We'd done a few tours supporting Pampered Menial, and our original drummer was just. He couldn't keep up with the direction that I was going. And I was ready to throw the towel in, and I was sitting around with Sandy Pearlman and Douglas Rayburn, and I said, we've got to do something here. I can't see us trying to record this album with all the sophisticated music and not being able to perform it properly. And a big part of this problem is, the rhythm section can't keep up. So Sandy said, well, who are your favorite drummers? And I mentioned Bill Bruford. I know I mentioned Robert Wyatt, but he had been paralyzed for 2 years at that point, so he was out of the question, obviously. A few other guys. And so we approached Mr. Bruford. He was between bands. I think King Crimson was broken up. I think he had just done some recording or touring or something with Gong. David Allen's band.
With who, sorry?
With Gong. G-O-N-G. David Allen's band.
Yeah.
I think they were French.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They
he
were
was in between
half
bands.
French.
Happy to join us.
And you had a song called Mercy on the bill, which you characterize as cinema verite. So,
what happened with that was Steve Scorsese didn't have a song on the second record, but he had that guitar riff. And our manager said, well, David, you have to finish this thing. He's got to have a song on the record. So I took his guitar riff and I wrote the song. And I just gotten done reading a biography of Bogart and Bacall. And so I guess it was fresh in my mind.
So that's why you said cinema verite?
I guess so. You know, I was watching Humphrey Bogart's film with Mary Astor this morning, Across the Pacific. So I guess I'm still kind of into that. What was that, 1944? I think that was. Yeah, I do like that stuff. You know, it's classic cinema never wears on me.
And recently I read an interview of yours where you mentioned that the band couldn't play Did You See Him Cry live, but thinking that on the Detroit bootleg you have it live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we tried to do it. I think that was Pavlov's Dog Mark III, maybe, with Kirk Sarkeesian playing drums.
Yes.
And we would occasionally attack it, but I was never happy with the results. Just never was. And now, you know, we eat it for lunch. It's easy. This band is much better socialized than any of the original versions. You know, we get along better, we play better. You know, it's just an all-around better situation, which frankly keeps me inspired.
Well, I was amazed by seeing Amanda. It was a new name for me, and now I downloaded her album to listen to. So it's a little discovery. I was amazed.
Yeah, she is such a passionate performer. That's the real deal. I mean, you know, I don't think we were prepared for how good she was. You know, we were looking for somebody that I could play with comfortably, and a lot of the players that we go out and watch bands, we go out and, you know, see people play, people would audition or approach me about, you know, the other guitar spot. I was to the point where I was going to be the only electric guitar player at one point. And then Abby, Styler, our violin player, was playing some sort of concerts in the South, and Amanda was part of the orchestra that she was playing with. And Abby's going, we've got to get this woman up to St. Louis to play with us. And so Amanda came up from Nashville. We spent the afternoon together, and she's been in the band ever since. But I do love her solo record. It's brilliant. And you can see her sing, you know. Got a lovely voice.
And it just right before the beginning of our conversation that I realized that your drummer is your record label boss.
Right. And my friend for, I don't know, 12, 15 years, yeah. Actually, what happened was about 6 years ago, we were on tour in Germany, and we were going to the sound check of the very first show, and our drummer at that point, Mike Safran again, had an emergency operation. He passed out in the middle of sound check, and they had to come and get him by ambulance, and he had a strangulated hernia. And so they rushed him to the hospital, and he's laid up for 2 weeks, obviously, with this major surgery. And so Manfred was there at the show, and he proceeded to put his headphones on and learned the entire set in 3 hours. And he did the whole tour as our drummer. So then when Mike was getting ill again 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't even look for another drummer. I just called Manfred and said, you know, we need the Pavlov Dog's drummer. And he said, yeah, he'd like to. And that was that. Yeah.
But how did your association with Rockville come about? With his company?
I guess they were fans of my music. And when I came and see, I did a tour in Italy. Oh, this is 12, 13 years ago, I guess. With just Sarah and I, and we did some television programs, things of that nature, some concerts, and I kind of enjoyed it. Is what happened. I hadn't played live in probably 10 years at that point, and really didn't have any, expectations to. I'm happy sitting here by myself playing, to be honest. But anyway, I guess some promoters heard that we did that, and then Teacup came out, I guess. Yeah, I guess Teacup might have come out, or I was working on it. Anyway, we got these offers to play some festivals like Arrow Rock and Lorelei and some other big festivals. So I put together, I guess this Mark 4 or 5 Pavlov Dog, and we went out and did I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks of concert dates in Europe. Manfred saw us one of those shows and approached us about releasing material on Rockville, and I said, here, listen to this stuff on Teacup. Chicken hadn't been put out yet. He loved it, and the rest is history, right?
Yeah. I like the treatment, the Rockville treatment of your albums.
We're kind of this insular little community, but it works for us, What did Robert say? Small, independent, intelligent, mobile unit. That's what we are.
But back in the day, how much did you gig? How much did you tour? Back in the 70s.
A lot for Pampered Menial. A lot. I mean, we were on the road, I don't know, too much. And then Sound of the Bell, less so. But still a lot, probably too much. I mean, I wasn't in that good a physical condition at that point. Anyway, I mean, I've always had bad lungs, so kind of something I've had to deal with my whole life.
But how do you handle the voice in such conditions?
It doesn't affect my voice.
Sustain, I mean.
I'm sorry?
I mean sustain, not only the vibrato, but sustain, long notes.
Yeah, as long as my lungs are clear, I can hold notes for pretty much as long as I need to. I learned how to do circular breathing when I was in high school. I was playing flute for a year or so, even though with my lungs I probably shouldn't be playing woodwind instruments. I was really intrigued with it. And I had this wonderful teacher. He was the first chair flautist in the St. Louis Symphony. His name was Boris Torno. And he taught me how to do circular breathing on the flute. And I learned to carry that over to my singing. So, as long as I have oxygen, I'm good.
Well, I know a couple of great singers who originally played brass, and they said they felt it a lot. Maybe you know the names. It's Glenn Hughes, who was in Deep Purple.
Sure,
And the second was Ronnie Dio.
Yeah, Ronnie was a good singer.
Yeah,
Glenn was too. I mean,
Well, they played
my friend
trumpets.
Tommy Boland was in Deep Purple at the same time as Glenn Hughes, so I was very familiar with his singing. Great singer, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then the third album came, or should I say, came not about. And everybody refers to it as the third album, and it was released as Had anyone seen Siegfried? But the question is, what was the intended title of the album?
It was always going to be called Has Anyone Here Seen Siegfried? What happened was I quit the band, and Steve Scorfina had a tape of the mix. It wasn't a master tape, it was just like a 1-inch copy of the tape, right? And he made 100 copies in vinyl, and those 100 copies got bootlegged all over the world. So I never meant for it to come out, and I wasn't really happy about it. So finally, I decided, since it had been bootlegged enough, that we should release it on Rockville and master it properly. So it sounds great, you know. So we did that. But it was, at some point I just did it to stop all the bootlegs.
But why did you refer to Siegfried?
Why was it called Siegfried?
Yeah.
Oh, because Siegfried had quit the band 2 years earlier, so I said, has anyone here seen Siegfried? And everybody shook their head no. But Siegfried was my friend till the day he died. We were always close friends. He was kind of like a big brother, you know. He turned me on to some great literature, some great music. Yeah, he was my friend.
And you had a guest on that record, as you mentioned earlier. You had Skunk Baxter and Elliot Randall, who's a friend.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know Jeff very well. He was a friend of Elliot's. Elliot and I were friends. And he grew up with Jeff. So he said, do you mind if I bring my friend along? I said, of course you bring him along. I mean, who doesn't like Jeff's guitar playing, right?
You still in touch with Elliot?
No, he's living in London. Some of my friends communicate with him, and he always sends me, messages and good wishes and what's going on kind of stuff.
I can
and every time I'm in London, I'm not there long enough to look anybody up hardly. So I was just there, 2 months ago? I was only there for a day, so I didn't get to see any of my friends at all. In fact, the most exciting thing was Keith Reed, who's like one of my seriously favorite lyricists of all time, came to the show and hung out. That was the highlight of the whole tour, you know. Hanging around with Keith Reed is okay with me.
Yeah, I saw I recognized, like I read the Keith Reed signature on your guitar on the DVD. But
and Steve Cropper too.
It's Steve Cropper, because I couldn't decipher it, the second one.
Yeah, he was my first electric guitar hero. And, I mean, I'm sure it's a part of the reason I tend to play Fender Telecasters. That's what he used with Booker T and the MGs. I guess everybody I liked when I was growing up played a Telecaster, now that I think about it. I had that Having a Rave Up with the Yardbirds record, and the Buck Owens record, and, Roy Buchanan, pretty much everybody that I liked played a Telecaster. But it all began with Steve Cropper,
There was a funny joke about the Telecaster. There is a guitar player called Jerry Donahue.
Oh, he's wonderful. Yeah. He was at Surfboard Convention.
Yeah, and when I asked him, because he had a band with other Telecaster players, and they were called Helicaster, something like this.
Yeah, I have one of their CDs. It's brilliant stuff.
I asked him who he thought was the most famous Telecaster player, and he said, judging on the records covers, it's gonna be Bruce Springsteen.
Well, that's good though. Bruce is an amazing guitar player, and nobody gives him credit for it. he had a band before he became a solo act called Steel Mill, which was a big New Jersey band, and he was known as a lead guitar player. I mean, as much as he was known for singing or writing songs. I hear he played a Les Paul back then, not a Telecaster, but yeah, I don't think Bruce has ever got his due as to what a great guitar player he is. So yeah, good on him. I mean that cover to Born to Run is iconic.
And back to your songs, so there is an interesting pattern. Julia, Mercy, Jenny, Angeline. So and there was nothing on Lost in America. So did you break this pattern of female names on your records?
Once again, it's not something that's premeditated. I write a lot of songs, and they usually come to me as whole cloth, so I just kind of write them down. If they have a woman's name attached to it, that's okay.
No jealousy from Sarah?
No, none at all. Sarah and I met in high school, and she was married for nearly 20 years before we started dating. But I mean, we were friends since we were teenagers. In fact, I would go over to her house with my guitar and try to impress her with my songs.
Well, interesting thing that when I looked at you on the DVD, my impression was of Johnny and June.
Oh, well, there could be. I don't know. We've been married a long time, and she's my best friend. She's my reason for being here. She's the best partner I could ever have. And honestly, the first time I saw her in high school, I was just stunned. She was so beautiful and so smart, so talented, I just wanted to impress her, but she was already dating the guy she got married to when I met her. So we were just friends for a long time, like decades. And then she got divorced, and we started seeing each other, and we haven't been apart since.
So her singing on your kind of solo record, Teacup, was a sign of your dedication, right?
Or she just sings better than me. which is really the more truthful answer.
And you had another singing partner in Ian Matthews. So
absolutely.
Was Hi-Fi your attempt to create a quintessential pop band for the 80s?
No, we just he had just come off of a hit record called Shake It. And it was nothing like his earlier work. It was nothing like Fairport. It was nothing like Matthew Southern Comfort. It was kind of a pop song. And it was a pretty big song over in this country. And I was doing session work because I was still trying to get out of the Columbia Records deal. And we just started playing together, and originally Douglas Rayburn was playing with us too. Douglas was playing bass instead of keyboards. And we were really excited about just having a guitar band, like Fleetwood Mac or Buffalo Springfield or Moby Grape or something, where everybody sang and everybody played, and it was a lot of interaction. And a rock band, straight ahead rock band, no ballads to speak of, And we just had the best time, and it was 100% different than anything he'd ever done or anything that I'd ever done. And it was a couple of the best years of my life.
But had you known him from Fairport, Southern Comfort, or from his solo records like The Bear Eats You?
I had them. I owned them. I didn't know him. But I was Fairport was one of my favorite bands. Always, I loved all the Fairport records. And I on Sandy's last tour with Fairport, I opened a couple shows for Fairport. Just me and my acoustic guitar, not as Pavlov dogs, just as David Surkamp, just me and my guy. I think I had a grand piano out there that Sandy played, and my acoustic guitar. And I opened at least one show, maybe a couple, I can't remember, from 40-something years, but it was a highlight of my life, getting to share a stage with them and getting to sit and listen to her sing. And in fact, I remember she had a sprained ankle and had to play the whole show sitting on the piano bench.
And that's where you know Jerry Donahue, right?
Jerry Donahue was in the band, yeah, it was Jerry Donahue, her husband, I think his name was Trevor.
Trevor Lucas.
Yeah, her husband played rhythm guitar, and he sang about a third of the set, which was strange to me.
But how did you get to know Ian?
Well, when I moved to Seattle, he had moved there, and we had the same management. We had the same manager, basically, and agency. And the funniest part of it was nobody would have thought that he and I would sing together, because our voices are so different, But, we were really good friends. We'd go out to breakfast every morning, and, we just hung out together. We didn't even like the same kind of music most of the time. Like, I'd never heard Roy Orbison for some reason. He went out and bought me a Roy Orbison double album, which, all of a sudden became my favorite record ever, So, Hi-Fi came about strictly because he and I were friends.
But there was a strange selection of songs for demonstration record. I mean, 9 O'Clock by Snips.
Yeah, we just had I had the single. I like the song, so we did it.
Well, Snips is like a rarity.
I'm sorry?
I mean, the writer of 9 O'Clock, Snips, I didn't think he was known in America.
Oh, well, like I have a lot of British friends, right? But I knew he was in a band with Chris Spedding called Sharks.
Yes.
So I knew him from that. But, I'd never done any covers ever in my life. And Ian loved doing covers. So he probably pushed me to do it.
I knew the man who started Sharks with Chris, Andy Fraser.
Yeah, great bass player. Great bass player. And a great songwriter. All that stuff he did in Free, Fire and Water and that stuff. Great songs. Really great songs. Yeah. I heard he died just a year or two ago too, didn't he?
Yes, sadly. Like I hooked him up with one Hollywood producer to make this charity record, and he recorded his song and then died soon after that.
Oh, that's awful. But this is, the older I get, the more friends I lose. I mean, I lost Sandy Perlman 2 weeks ago, and a day or two after Sandy passed away, my friend Roy Albright from Nectar passed away.
Yeah.
That was a really lousy week.
I would say lousy year.
Yeah, it's true. We still have some left to go. So.
Yeah, since Christmas, and it was, I think, Lemmy who started that.
Yeah, and friends, it's well, we can only live so long.
Yeah. And this demonstration record, you had also Man in the Station by John Martin.
Right.
Whose idea? Yeah, carry on.
No, go ahead.
I mean, whose idea it was to supplant a riff from I Don't Need No Doctor from Humble Pie onto Man in the Station?
Well, that's my riff, but I didn't know it was a Humble Pie riff. John was one of Ian Matthews' neighbors, and I was a big fan of John's songwriting. And Ian wanted to... I think Ian had covered it already, actually. I'll take that back. Ian had done a version of it on one of his albums. But we started just playing on it, and Gumby, our drummer, and I started making it rock more, and then I came up with that guitar riff, and it just stuck. And John told Ian before he passed away that it was his favorite version of Man in the Station. So I guess it was a lucky day.
Yeah, but you heard I Don't Need No Doctor by Humble Pie, obviously.
I saw Humble Pie play a few times, but I couldn't tell you any of their songs.
Because when I heard that
riff,
when I heard that riff, I thought it was like a joke, a pun on Man in the Station.
Yeah, I'll look it up, but I met Steve Marriott a couple times, but it wasn't once again, it wasn't my cup of tea. It was blues rock, and it was kind of not what I enjoy the most.
And Hi-Fi's demonstration record was live.
Dead live, yeah.
Did you record a studio version of those songs ever?
No. Once again, it was a one-off. We just, we just started playing. It was filmed for National Public Television in America, and so it was just a live one-off thing.
Is there a footage of it somewhere?
I'm sorry?
You said it was filmed, but is there a footage?
Oh yeah, it's on Rockville Hi-Fi, the complete package. The whole DVD's on there, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll try to track it down.
Well, just let Monford know they'll send you one.
Okay. And as you mentioned, you had Douglas Rayburn play with you in Hi-Fi, so you remained friends and collaborated through the years.
Off and on. Douglas and I always had a difficult relationship, but he was an only child, and some only children have,
Yeah. I know.
They need to be pampered, but Douglas and I wrote a lot of great songs together, and we tried to be friends, but it wasn't always that way. He could be very difficult. In fact, I never really was happy with Lost in America. It was a little too slick for me. But the reason it did get so slick was because I couldn't let Douglas have his way with the production on that one. But it's I miss Douglas. He and I spent a lot of our life together. That's for sure. And and he had such a bad last 2 years. Cancer is just an insidious disease.
Yeah, don't tell me about that.
He had a really lousy last 2 years. Where Siegfried, he just fell asleep at his desk. Never woke up. I think if you're going to go, that's probably the best way.
Possibly. And after Hi-Fi, you continued writing for Ian. You had a Hardly Innocent Mind and Indiscreet on his records. So
right. Well, like I said, I'm always writing.
No, I mean, you were writing especially for him, right? It wasn't like leftovers from Hi-Fi.
No, I wasn't writing especially for him. I was just writing. I wrote Indiscreet with Ian, and I wrote it right about the same time as I wrote A Hardly Innocent Mind with Douglas. I bet it was within a month of each other.
And then came Teacup, as we mentioned.
Sure.
But you had your name on the cover, and it also said Pavlov's Dog Trinity Sessions. So was that like a dual personality to that record?
Yeah, it was because Sarah and I and Bongo Billy just wanted to do something together, And it was, I think it was going to be Pavlov's Dog at one point, and then it basically started turning into my solo record. So it was just kind of a mixture of things coming together at the same time. And Billy played drums and keyboards Pavlov stuff often and always. I mean, he's on Echo and Boo on probably half a dozen tracks. I think he plays more drums on it than Mike Saffron does.
And Echo and Boo, is it a concept record, given that it mentions the adventures on the cover?
Uh-huh.
So what was the concept behind Echo and Boo?
Oh, I found that, the cover picture?
Mm-hmm.
That's a picture of my father and my Uncle Harry as small children. That picture probably dates from the 20s or something. And I'd written the song Echo and Boo, then I found the photo of my father, and that kind of just kicked the whole thing on. And Sarah started coming up with these wonderful drawings, which she did in watercolor. And just kind of went from there. Took on a life of its own.
Because, like, to me, it was this interesting imagery of Echo as something that's ringing down the years, and Boo is like shooing someone away from the stage.
True. And it fits in with my love of Grimm's fairy tales and poetry and just all those childhood things. It's my favorite Pavlov dog record, that's for sure.
And
Boo's actually my favorite by miles.
And as you mentioned, you're writing songs all the time, but still, you had on the Echo and Boo, you had "Love You Still," which was a new arrangement of the song that was originally on the third album.
Right, because I didn't get it right the first time. That arrangement on the third record, I was never happy with. I wrote it on mandolin, and that third album didn't have a mandolin on it anywhere, so I just decided I'd do it right. And the one on Echo and Boo is the way I originally heard the song. Mandolin driven. In fact, I think there's 2 or 3 mandolins on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Mandolin orchestra?
Kind of, yeah. Well, I've got a bunch of mandolins, so I tend to try to use them whenever I can. They're from the 19. I think I got one that's a Gibson from 1914, another Gibson from 1915, and a K from the 50s that's electric. It's just a big mess up.
Well, I would say though there was something Appalachian in Pavlov's dog music.
Well, yeah, and all that Appalachian influence comes from England originally, so it all fits in together, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you mentioned you were playing sessions. I know about the Michael Quattro record, but who you played for except for Quattro?
Oh, I did lots of jingles, radio things. Like Britannia jeans ads, things like that. I was still under contract at Columbia, so I couldn't really sing on a lot of things. But they didn't have me tied up as a guitar player or a bass player or a piano player or whatever. So I guess they never thought about it. I don't know where they thought I wrote all the songs. So yeah, I got work, playing guitar for other people, and bass and stuff.
So Michael Quattro was just like a session and nothing more. You weren't friends.
No, we were friends, and I knew his sister, Patty also. She was the guitar player in Fanny. But yeah, I was friendly with Patty. I was friendly with Mike. I always liked Mike actually.
And and this song for Savvy Brown, did you write "Crying Forever" especially for them, for King's Evans?
Yeah. What happened is we were playing these festivals, and I got to be friends with Kim and Steve Hackett. I love really great guitar players.
Steve is a friend. We meet every time he's here.
I'm sorry?
Steve Hackett is a friend. We meet every time he's in the area, and we exchange messages once in a while.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. And we got along well. In fact, he used to go, why didn't you ask me to come up and play harmonica? You know, I really want to come in and sit in. You know, we really never did. But Kim was working on what became the Steel record, and I said, here, let me write you a song. So I kind of had the idea when we were on tour with Savoy Brown, the riff, which to me sounded kind of Savoy Brown-like. And I got home and I wrote the song and I demoed it with me playing all the instruments and sent it to Kim. He liked it and he put it on.
And after that, you're telling me that blues rock is not your cup of tea?
Well, I can't grow up in St. Louis and not know how to do it, because all they play around here is rhythm and blues or jazz, you know. So, I mean, I can do it, but it's, you know, it's not what I do. In fact, I enjoy playing that song live because Amanda and Abby are so wonderful soloing in a blues framework. You know, I don't have any interest in joining in. I don't think I can, you know, bring much more to the table than they're already producing. But, you know, it's just I've never had, it's just, you know, it's okay. It's not my favorite kind of music.
Yeah.
I'd rather listen to Robert Fripp or Richard Johnson or something than you know, Eric Clapton or B.B. King or something.
And
nothing against the other guys, it's just, you know, it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, tell me please about Oscar.
About what?
Oscar, your...
Oh, Oscar, my dad?
Yes.
Yeah, Oscar's cool. We're playing a venue in Munich, and I guess it was around Halloween, and there were these two stuffed bats up on a shelf. And I got to talking to Oscar. And I went to the club owner and I said, hey, can I borrow Oscar for the tour? I promise you'll get him back. And he goes, sure, why not? So Oscar did the tour with us, and I think he enjoyed himself. And he's back living in Munich. So I guess you'd have to ask Oscar how he's doing.
Okay, and I think we've covered everything I wanted to ask. So the last question would be, did you ever want to bring back the good old days, to quote yourself?
No, I you know, I kind of like being an adult. You know, I've been really lucky. I'm married to an incredible woman. We have a son and a daughter, 4 grandchildren. You know, life is good. I've got an incredible band that, you know, I enjoy playing with for maybe the first time in my life. You know, I think things are pretty great right now.
Okay,
But I really appreciate you calling. And I've enjoyed this.